Hey everyone, today's episode, Chris and I are talking all about how to get fewer objections by addressing them up front. Check it out. Hey everyone, welcome back to Contractor Growth Network. I'm Logan.
And I'm Chris Livingston.
And today, why do you always put your last name in it?
Because I don't want anybody to think I'm just the regular Chris.
Oh, okay. Today, we are talking all about a pretty interesting topic, and it is addressing objections before they become objections. Now, this is, and I'll kind of leave with this disclaimer. The easiest way to understand this stuff and to learn it and get behind it is to read a book called They Ask, You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. There's two versions of it. The first version was the one that I read that a couple times. It's very well done. The second version is even better. The second version goes into more sales stuff and more tactical things as well versus simply the transparency ideas, which the first one does a great job of that. But this one's just like, okay, now that we've seen how the first one works, he went back, redid the second one, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to kind of do the Audible situation. So I actually haven't read through the book myself, but I've Audibled it at least 3 or 4 times. And it's absolutely amazing. The idea is just, it's super simple concepts that you don't think about. It's just the idea of how we buy as people and what frustrations we have when, I guess in that space, not having the company tell us the information we really want to know up front. So it's like, why
well, let's talk about that. So when you don't talk about certain things, like think of like the taboo subjects in life, not just business, in life. We got religion, politics, and money, really.
Yeah, sex, money, religion, I'd probably say.
Sex, money, religion.
Politics too, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a hell of a political year. So,
yeah.
Although now with social media, I think it's becoming more and more transparent into who backs what, things like that. And I bet if you asked Facebook, they could pinpoint who you voted for, just kind of based on your selections. But a lot of these topics that we're not supposed to talk about in real life, we also kind of take into business and say, well, we shouldn't talk about these things because it might offend people, right? We shouldn't talk about what something costs, but in reality, a business is all about transactions.
Yeah.
So what happens? Well, why does a business not talk about price or their process and like show behind the scenes stuff?
If I had to imagine like right off the bat, I think that the reason why people don't talk about it is because there's an idea that if I put it out there, then someone's going to copy it. If I put it out there, then someone's going to undercut me. If I put it out there, there's something that I'm giving up I'm going to lose that comparative advantage.
And what's funny is if you ask, what percentage of the contractors that we talk to, Chris, that I say, is price your biggest asset when it comes to getting a sale, what percent would say yes?
I would say 0.
0.
Yeah, everyone always says, I'm not the cheapest guy.
Correct. And so it's funny that they know it, and with us, they lean into it. But as soon as it turns around that they're supposed to go against other competitors or whatever it is, the first thing they shy away from is price because they go, well, what if my competitors... It's the same thing when I hear guys complain like, well, I lost 2 guys last month. Well, they went to go work for a competitor for $1 an hour more. Chris, for you, if I paid you $1 an hour, you were on commission, but if you said, Logan, I make $500 per deal, but I'm leaving to go to a different place where I make $510 per deal. Is it really because you want the extra $1 or the extra $10 in this case, or is there something else going on?
There's definitely something else going on. And then the reality is, that idea of just a price and that frustration piece is so real. I just went out yesterday, went house hunting, bought a house yesterday in this situation, and I love the idea of the ease of it. I didn't have to feel like I did a new development, a new build, and it already kind of had a price, right? Yeah, I could maybe negotiate maybe more amenities that I wanted, but it already had a price on it. And I didn't have to think about, oh, is this guy, am I paying too much for this? Is it too much for what I wanted to be? The frustration there was gone. The frustration there was only the frustration that I put on myself to just say, I need to select which one is the best for me. And so when people have this price idea, saying that I don't want to include my price on something, like I think you fail to recognize who you're really hurting, and that's your customer.
The number one fear that everybody has is the fear of getting taken advantage of. This is why we look at sleazy salesmen, as we call it, like used car salesmen. Like I bought a car a year ago, and it was a very straightforward transaction. Look, was there stuff that they throw in? I don't know, like on the price, maybe. I'm not one of those guys that I'm not going to like line by line go, well, where are you making your money? Like that kind of stuff, because like I realize that some of those things might be the only way that they actually will be able to like eat. Like they need to throw in the $100 extra upcharge, whatever it is, because that's how they make their money, because they don't actually make it on the car itself. And like maybe that's like the game for them. I don't know. But either way, somebody helped me with the car. I was cool with it. I paid them. But we're also afraid to get taken advantage of, that we look down on, all these things that like have anything to do with money. But then we turn around and we say, well, we're not going to show our customers our prices. But then the customer now feels, well, what if they take advantage of me? So by putting a number out there and this is all, just so you know right now, this is all just price that we're talking about, because this is realistically, I don't think anybody has any hesitation of showing their process. I don't think anybody has any hesitation of showing like, your design skills, if that's a question that you get. But I think everybody's afraid to put out price. So you have to understand and recognize that if you present price first, if you present this stuff up front, they're going to feel more at ease with you, because they now know, okay, there's actually a rhyme or reason behind the price that they just quoted me. They didn't pull out of thin air, because I hear a lot of people when they do price, when they say price, if they're a contractor that says it over the phone and not in like a proposal or an estimate that they email out, if they say it over the phone, they don't sound confident. And when you don't sound confident, it sounds like you're making up a number. And it sounds like when you make it up a number, the homeowner is going to go, well, you're probably doing this number to try to quote unquote rip me off, if you don't already have a relationship with them. Yeah. So by having these things up front and addressing them before they're actually objections, whether it's online or in some other medium, you're going to have to do this, and it's going to actually help you in the long run, not hurt you.
And when you talk about the price stuff and handling those objections, and you said people that you never worked with before, what's the difference there? I know you have a referral,
right? And
is it because they already have an understanding of what your price is going to look like, and they already have an understanding of what the quality they're going to get? How is it going to be a different situation for them?
Yeah. So for people to do business with you, they have to know, like, and trust you. Well, let's just break that down real quick. The first piece is they have to know who you are, okay? Now, if that's a referral, then typically it's a much warmer lead, because your current customer probably showed this new lead their kitchen or whatever it is that you did for them. And then it's the whole, if A equals B, B equals C, then A equals C. So if your customer likes you and your customer's friend likes your customer, then by association, that person, that lead, is going to like you. So you're already put up more on a pedestal, because they already know somebody who's gone to you. So it's a much easier transition at that point. So the know and the like is there. And then if your customer trusts you, and they already, and they're good to go because they've already been in your house, well, the trust is built up so much more that it's way easier. So that referral is going to have fewer objections. And part of it is there's an accountability piece to it all. And what I mean by that is, if you come to me, and let's just say I just had my kitchen redone, I'm a homeowner. If Chris was my friend and came in and said, hey, Logan, who did your kitchen? I'm going to say, well, Jeff did my kitchen. Right? Just throwing out like a random name, Jeff did my kitchen. Well, now and you're like, oh my God, I love it. This is really great. I'm going to call Jeff, or let me think about calling Jeff. Well, in a month when you and I catch back up and grab coffee, I'm going to say, oh, did you ever call Jeff? And now there's an accountability piece. So in the back of your mind, you're going to have to call them because you've already told me and committed to me that you're going to call them. But when you're just doing some research online and you've never met the person before, well, you don't have any accountability. You don't have any reason to go, well, I never told anybody I was going to call this Jeff guy, so who's going to call me out on it? So there's an accountability piece, and that's why referrals move forward much easier with fewer objections, but like that you can't scale like that. And that's the problem, is that we can all agree that those are going to be the warmest, best leads, because if they're your past customer, they've already worked with you, they love you most likely. And if you're a past customer's friend, well, they have the built trust through your friend. I'm sorry, through your past customer. But for the people online, which is the real way that it's more predictable, it's easier to scale it because you can do it at in large masses versus, if you have a conversation with somebody who's a referral, that's one person whose life you're changing or touching. Now, if you shoot a YouTube video, you're not going to have the same effect necessarily as meeting somebody face to face, but you're going to be able to send this out to hundreds or thousands of people in your area that will move them closer. So what this is doing is this is building out an online pipeline. It's a relationship at the end of the day. A customer has to buy from you. They have to trust you. But if you can do this at large scale online, well, you're just filling your pipeline, and you're able to do it very easily because one 30-minute video to you could touch thousands of people, and now you're golden. But one of those things that you're going to have to address is the objections. You're going to have to, or you don't have to, but it would be in your best interest to actually talk about those quote-unquote taboo subjects, because it's going to get them to trust you that much more, because they're going, holy, this guy is like telling me, he's explaining what it costs to work with him, and he's talking about which products are better. Just any of the common objections that you get, if you put those up online, it's going to scare some people away, yes. But those are the people that are most likely not even close to your price range, right? You weren't going to convince them. You weren't going to say, I know you're looking at a $5,000 budget, but what we're talking about is 30 grand. And they go, you know what? I think I could find the other 25,000. Like, that's very, very, very few and far between. So what you're trying to do is just protect your time. Back to last month where we talked all about pre-qualified leads. This is part of it. And this will help you get fewer objections, because all the things that you've done already, all your marketing efforts are already addressing those objections. So you're no longer having to get on the phone and go, oh man, I hope they know. Oh, because like Chris, now when you and I do our sales, you tell them price before they talk to me. So I don't go into this call going, man, I wonder if they know what this stuff costs. They already know. And what do you think that does for me?
Well, I feel like it's way more of a, you hear that phrase all the time, sticker shock, right? Mm-hmm. People are not going to buy when they are frustrated. They're not going to buy when they're in a heightened sense of anything.
How come?
It's because of the fact that, psychological, right? I'm sure the cortisol levels go up. It's just, we don't want to feel pressured into it. No one wants a pressured sale. We don't want to feel like, hey, well, I did that, because if you are pressured into it, 30 seconds later, 30 minutes later, 30 days later, buyer's remorse can creep in. Mm-hmm. So, when you're calm and you have a full understanding of exactly what's going on, that situation is way easier. So at the very least, if someone is saying, let's say someone's on the phone with you and they're just wondering or on the phone with me, and they're wondering what's the price of this thing? What's the price of this thing? What's the price of this thing? I've given them the exact process that we have, the entire package we have, and they're like, what's the price on this? And then they have to wait to get on a phone call with you to even get an understanding of what price ballpark would look like for them. Then they've maybe been sold on the idea of it, but the price is something they haven't even attached to it yet. They haven't attached the value to it just yet. So you're saying, hey, for all these things I just kind of described to you, this is kind of what it costs. Oh, okay. Well, that's just kind of, for that is going to now take away that frustration. Like I said, yesterday when I walked through all these different houses here in Charlotte, I looked at a couple of new builds, I looked at some existing builds and things like that. When I saw houses that I felt like needed a kitchen or needed a bath renovation, the frustration came from me like, I don't really know how this stuff works. I don't know exactly what it takes to get all these things done. I don't really know what the cost of this is going to cost me. There's a frustration there. So imagine I'm now living in this home. I'm living in this home and I know that I want to get this kitchen or bath redone. There's frustration that's there. But if I knew that someone would give me information on exactly what I'm looking at, I can use their expertise. I've seen videos from them. I've seen content from them that shows, oh, this is a problem that's pretty much every day. Anybody with a tub kit, this is a problem you're going to deal with. And this person can explain it to me with their expertise, and I can see that, oh, okay, well, this guy knows his stuff. And then I don't even know the first process right now to start with going for a contractor besides just giving him a call to see exactly what's going to take for me to do this. If I got my kitchen redone, maybe I didn't think about it at the time, which I called someone, but you also got to step away from your kitchen for a period of time. It's something that I think contractors may take for granted, that homeowners are very ignorant about a lot of the process and would love for someone to show them their process in a way that is understandable and allow them, not understandable in the sense of show me all the ins and outs. I don't want to see every single detail of it, but you have a full grasp of what it looks like. And you're going to walk me through a process so that I can just kind of get it done. Hey, we're going to start like this. This is kind of what your situation is going to look like in between, and you're going to finish with this finished product. Okay, that sounds great. Okay, tell me where I need to step in. Where do I need to give you my card? Where do I need to write this check? Like, that's absolutely amazing. And then if I have an idea of the price, I'm not going to call someone thinking they can get this stuff done for me, and I'm just totally off. Like, not knowing price is a real frustration. Like, I think that's something that I did not think about as readily until being in this role. Not knowing price is so frustrating, because even in Western culture, we don't really, it's most times, if I want an iPhone, okay, there's a price associated to it. I don't really have to haggle that situation. With CarMax, they're killing it, right? Because of the fact that there's no haggle pricing. I know that if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for John down the street, it's good enough for Jane down the street, and it looks like, okay, this is the value that they set for that car, and I have to now decide if I want to now get that car. I don't have to worry about if Timmy, the car salesman, is just coming to see me because I'm by myself and I have no idea what the price looks like, and they're going to try to get over on me.
And this is, and I'm glad you brought this stuff up, because this is, I just went away for a few days. I was there. I was in a resort. It was really nice with my dad and Derek Johnson, and both of they run the CSA, the Contractor Sales Academy, and we're sitting there. We're talking about some sales stuff, and essentially, the dilemma or what was going on was Derek was dealing with somebody wanted something from him, right? And he was saying, how would you price this? How would you go about it? And the scenario was essentially that the person wanted a patio, right? And Derek said, okay, to us, he's like, well, I could do it, but if I'm already out there, I'd rather just do it because we're already on the job right now. And it's much easier because it keeps costs down for me, because I don't have to scramble a crew to do it all. They're already there. So he was saying to us, how would you position this? How would you go back to the homeowner and say, this is what it's going to cost, but if you just allow us to do it now, we'll do it for X amount. And we're trying to figure out a price for this thing, because if you just went off straight materials, then it would be very cheap. But we don't sell on materials, we sell on value, right? What's this worth it to them? So they do a little bit more custom. But one of the things that I was talking to him was, no matter what you price it at, if the homeowner says, okay, great, done, and there's no like, wow, that's a lot more money than I thought it was, okay, fine, where it sounds like, okay, cool, like that was, you know what they want to pay, there's always going to be meat on the bone left. But with us, the way that we price stuff is we don't price stuff necessarily for our own stuff, our own services here at CGN. We don't say, okay, what's the most amount of money somebody will pay? We have pricing where I know for some people it's a stretch, and for others, we just finished up a website for somebody, and I remember it was so funny. You talked to him and you said, what do you think this is going to cost? And he said a number twice as much as what we charge. So you're going to have those as well, where some people are going to, push for it, And other people are going to go, oh, wow, thank God that was less. But for us, we're making the numbers that we need to make. We're happy with the numbers. And I'm good with that. I'm good with not looking at this as, oh, we could have squeezed X amount more, because like it's a standard price for a reason. Like we have a formula on why we priced it as such. And if it gets to the point where we have way too many people coming in, then we realize, okay, maybe we are giving away too much for this, and we'll raise the prices again. But right now we're good. So I don't look at this as like, well, every job is different. Yes, in the contracting space, every job is going to be a little bit more different for you, but to at least know ballpark pricing on all your stuff is so helpful, because I can't tell you how many people I ask, well, what's your average cost for this? And they have no idea. Well, I can't do that number. Well, why not? Well, I don't know this, I don't know that. But then when we actually talk about it for literally 2 minutes, we come up with an average, and they don't realize that their 25 years of experience allows them to throw out a number. So with that being said, you all have these numbers. You all have these averages. You all have how stuff works. And the more that you can guide people through all the basic FAQs, which again, if you want to go, well, how do I actually do this stuff? Go read They Ask You Answer. Like, I could sit here on this podcast and try to spend an hour just saying, here's all the different things that he says to do, but just go read that book. They Ask You Answer. It's on Audible. It's a Marcus Sheridan book. And I know for us, the more that we can address stuff up front, it's scary at first because you're putting all your business out there, but that's the new game. You're no longer, hey, I'm really good at tiling, backsplash, like that's my jam. Well, now you're really good at that, and you're really good at being transparent with customers. And if there's two different designers and they're both really good at doing backsplashes, but one is very upfront about everything and one seems very secretive, who do you think they're going to go with?
The person that is upfront, because the secretive person comes off as there's a level of non-understanding, and it may come off as, hey, this guy's trying to get over on me.
Yeah.
And like, even like, let's say right now, someone wanted to know, how much does it cost to work with you guys? If we have it clearly laid out on our website. We have it clearly laid out on our website, so that when people go to the website and they say, hey, Chris, well, I'm looking at your, your average package is going to cost me $10,800. That's what I'm looking for. That's okay. Well, let's talk about that. What were you hoping that package could do for you? So we don't want to just sell you something that's, not the right thing for you. But when they have an understanding what that price already is, then that it's so much easier. Now, I will also say, if you throw out a number and you don't show the value of it, you put yourself in a bind. What are your thoughts on that?
It's all about presentation.
Yep.
And let me give you an example. You may build or remodel like the nicest kitchens, but if your final, check out this $150,000 kitchen, and then you take the final pictures on your phone that's smudged and there's shit in the photo, it's not going to have the same presentation as a professionally shot, professionally lit, staged photo. So think about that visual for a second. Think about the nicest project that you've ever done, and think about how you could show that picture to people, to clients, if all you have is your phone and it's a little bit fucked up, a little bit off axis, a little bit this, versus if you showed them a really high-end photo of it that was really nice. And we've seen this before. I remember Andrew at Premiere, they had a client who she said, like, yeah, honestly, like my budget for these outdoor lights are anywhere between 5 and 13. And then Andrew showed her just professionally shot photos of a really nice lit up backyard, and I think it went above 13. And the reason that I bring this up is it's not just about putting prices on your website. It's how it's all presented as well. Because if you just throw a number out there, great, you're transparent. And this is, I guess, the whole caveat to all this is what we are doing right now. It's unfortunate, and my goal is not to make it seem and feel easier said than done. The goal is to open your eyes to this concept. You're most like just like you're a contractor, and we all get pissed at homeowners who try to DIY everything. Well, you're a contractor. You're not meant to build your own website, right? Yes, you got to have something in the early days, but it starts to get to this point where if what you're presenting online is total shit compared to what it is that you do, you will not get the high-end customers. And when you present these FAQs, if they're not phrased and set up in the right way, then it's confusing. Because sometimes if you are higher priced, you have to justify why. We're not saying go all defensive. And I've heard some people say never justify your price. I think that's I think my dad said that for a while. He might still do that. I'm in the different camp. I'm like, hey, if you got to justify it. And I'm not saying break down your like, material and labor costs. All I'm saying is you got to know a couple things of why why this is priced as such. So that's how I'm a big fan of that, where you just give enough so that they're like, okay, cool, that makes sense. Because sometimes people just want to know, because we got to realize that for our services, as a small business owner, we all set our own prices. So it's all subjective for the most part to the homeowner's eyes. Because if we're like, well, our numbers are set up because we have to make 50% gross profit margin, well, that's great for us. But for the homeowner, that's not their problem, what we make. So you got to realize that if you just throw your price out there and say, this is this much, it might turn you into a menu. This is something that we talk about in Common Sense Contracting, our Facebook group, which if you're not part of that, make sure you go on Facebook, check it out, because we talk about these concepts. We walk through how to do it properly, because the last thing that you want to do is price yourself out of the market, not because of the actual price, because it's all value, right? I don't know enough about it, but I don't think like a Lamborghini, which cost, let's say $1 million, versus a really nice, really high-end Mercedes, which is $100,000. I don't think a Lamborghini has 10 times as more expensive technology, and the car itself is 10 times more. I think it's because of the name, the status that comes with it. People are willing to pay more for it. So it's not I'm not saying in this case that you're going to price yourself out of the market, because there's always a market regardless of what the actual price point is. It's just how good are you at showing the value, so somebody goes, oh, okay, I will pay that price because of X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense?
It does. I did an audit for someone recently, and I was doing the audit for them, and the overwhelming theme and what I saw on their website was this: they were better than advertised. Like, they provided way more service, a way better product. They transformed people's lives. They gave people memories. They gave people a space to grow and to have memories and to really convene together. And, those pictures and those thoughts. But none of that was present. So they were selling some transaction to someone else, and they were way better than they were advertised. So now, having pricing on a website where you're way better than advertised, you are now shooting yourself in the foot. So it's like...
And just to clarify, the actual contract, what they did and how they help people, was actually more impactful than what their website was giving off, essentially.
Exactly.
Did the website commoditize them, or was it just like was it still a good website, but it just didn't cover the full spectrum, or what'd you see?
And so the thing is, when I hear the word good website, when people say good website, what does that mean? To me, a good website is fulfilling its function. That's a good website to me. It's not a good website is not one that, oh, well, it looks like someone did it professionally. It looks like it has pictures there, it has gallery there. Is it fulfilling its function? And his website, from just a non-marketing perspective, a non-homeowner perspective, just looking at it visually, it was a quote-unquote good website. But it didn't fulfill his function. As an individual business owner, it didn't fulfill his function, which was to get people excited, understanding, bought in to the price that he was going to put on there, because it was simply, he was way better. His process, his expertise, the value that he presented was way better than he had advertised on his site.
I remember I was up with my buddy when I was first starting. He had a gym, and he was like, "Yeah, can you help me out with the website?" I was like, "Sure." And we started talking about it, about redoing it, because his website it was the typical somebody just built it themselves, things like that. And he was like, "Well, I really like it. I think it's pretty good." I was like, "Okay, well, is it bringing you new people? Are you using it?" No, but honestly, man, I think it looks good, so we're good with it. I was like, "Okay." And how do you think it all turned out?
It's I don't know. It's baffling to me to hear that.
But it's also it's who you. I mean, it's where you're at in your business. Are you willing to accept some feedback? Are you open-minded enough where that's part of it, or is it an ego thing? I love him. They ended up getting rid of. They bought a second gym, and they ended up I don't think foreclosed. It didn't, all in all, it's that they're not in business anymore.
Go to Ford's website. Go to Apple's website. Go to anyone under the sun, and see what it does for you. See how it sells you. I bought an Oura ring recently, right? That Oura ring, I saw some value in it, right?
What is an Oura ring? Because most people think it's a mood ring.
An Oura ring is a ring that you can place on your finger that actually tracks. It tracks, your sleep, your readiness, but it gives you consistent levels as far as, so you can be able to see what a baseline looks like. So when you're off that baseline, you can kind of see how you're performing, right? So for me, I think the biggest function is probably sleep. But I went on the Aura's website. You know what it did for me? It didn't just provide information on what it was. Yeah, it did some of that, but it sold me. It sold me on a ring.
Did it address any FAQs you had?
100%. It's like it in the sense of, I didn't know. Well, see, the thing is, I don't know if what some of those FAQs may be, but for me is, I wanted to know what value is going to bring to my life. I wanted to know what can I kind of expect from it.
Hold on, what? It's so funny. That just had a mini epiphany with what you just said. That's actually an objection in itself. Is the whole idea of what is the real value here? That's really the biggest objection that most people have. It's not the price. It's not, how long is it going to take? Yes, those are mini ones, but those are secondary objections after the first big one, which is, how is this going to positively affect my life? Because if you can't sell them on that first instance, and you can't show them the value there, the price doesn't matter. The when is it going to happen doesn't matter, because they don't actually want it. So if you can't sell them up front on why your is really going to help them or their family or whoever it is, that was really good. That was a good statement.
Well, thanks, Aura, for helping me out with that. But no, it was, they did a really good job of showing me, well, you know what, crap, all this stuff is relevant to me, and they're speaking my language. And you know what, if I go on Ford's website, I already have an interest in a truck. All right. If I go on Apple's website, I already have an interest in potentially one of these products, right? But now you see, it's crazy. I don't want to, let's just kind of throw it out there. Let's say you see tampon commercials, and you see how amazingly happy that women are on those tampon commercials. They're not going through, this is how you do it, this is what it's going to do for you, but they're showing how amazing, the situation is going to. They don't have to work. It's carefree. There's no more drama in that situation.
Right.
They're solving a problem. I know that contractors are in that same vein of solving a problem. I don't oftentimes see it on people's websites, on people's marketing.
Yeah, in general. I do really good stuff. Okay, great. Show me how I would know that. Oh, well, you just gotta, you just gotta know. Okay. So to wrap all this stuff up, first off, if you're not already in it, go to Common Sense Contracting. It's on Facebook. It's a really good group. By the time you're hearing this, we probably would have already talked We've done our Facebook Live where there's live Q&A, and we dive a little bit deeper into all this stuff. But we also just had a really cool one. I did one with my dad where it was all about what needs to happen in the business so it can run without you.
Let me take it if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So,
take it and then close it out.
okay. So in the same vein of showing the value for you, this Facebook group is a Facebook group with other contractors where they are being consistently fed information and being challenged so they can be the best business that they can have. Their business affects their life. How good the business is going has a direct correlation to how they feel about themselves. This Facebook group is in the business of changing their life, changing the way they do things, changing so they can actually be that person that they wanted to be. So it's not a transaction and come join some group so you can just see some information. It's way more beyond that. It's the idea of if you have a contracting business and you say to yourself, hey, you know what? This is my year. This is the year I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to actually make it happen this year. I'm waiting for that bid to come in. I'm waiting for this to happen. It behooves you to hop onto a system that is pushing, driving, and helping people achieve just that. So come get your life changed.
Go on Facebook, Common Sense Contracting. See you guys next time. Thank you.